Hello, I'm Pavel Naumov.
Hi, I'm Jiatang.
Today we'll talk about evidence-based knowledge. In this work, we will introduce two different modalities. One of them is meant to capture attainable knowledge or knowledge that could be extracted from finitely many pieces of evidence. We denote this modality by A. The other modality captures knowledge derivable from all available evidence, potentially infinitely many, and we denote this modality by O, and we call it omniscience. We're going to give a formal semantics, describe the properties that connect those two modalities, and give you a complete axiomatization of those modalities. But the main lesson that we learn from this work is that A, attainable knowledge, has S4 like properties, while omniscience is S5 like modality.
Let's start with an example. The Hilbert's Grand Hotel, with infinitely many rooms where all pink elephants would like to go. Uh, however, you may not know that all the rooms are filled because the doors are all closed. We refer to this state of the world as W. And obviously, in W, the hotel has no vacancies. If you are able to open all of the doors, the infinitely many doors, that is, if you're able to access all of the pieces of evidence, then you will know that the hotel has no vacancies. However, this cannot be done. You are not going to learn the same fact with just opening finitely many doors. So here you see that the last two statements, the first one, we use omniscience O to specify that you're using infinitely many pieces of evidence. And the second one, we use A to represent the attainable knowledge with finitely many pieces of evidence. One of the most interesting properties that we studied was negative introspection. And since we have two different modalities, modality O and modality A, we'll look at each of them separately. So the first negative introspection is for modality O, the omniscience. As Pavel just said, omniscience behaves the same way as the epistemic knowledge S5. So it is an S5 like a modality. So the negative introspection holds. However, it is not true for the attainable knowledge, the modality A. Let's take a look why it is not true. So I will give you a counterexample to show that the negative introspection for modality A does not hold. Here, the example I'm going to use will be the same as what we have just showed you before. We're considering the word W, where all the rooms are occupied. So in word W, the hotel has no vacancies. So we basically look at the statement, the hotel has vacancies, and in word W, this statement is false. Since this statement is false, we're not able to know that the hotel has vacancies simply because the statement is false. However, if you're able to open all of the doors, the infinite many doors, then you are able to learn the fact that not a hotel has vacancies. However, with finitely many pieces of evidence, if you are only able to open finitely many doors, you will not learn the same fact. So, W in word W, our question is if A, not a hotel has vacancies is true. And I would like to argue this in the next slide. Suppose that in word W, it is true that a not A hotel has vacancies. This just means that if we open some doors, finitely many, suppose we open door number 1 and number 3, then we should obtain the fact that in such a world, not a hotel has vacancies is true. And for such world U, for any of the worlds that's indistinguishable with the current world, where the door number 1 and number 3 are open, you should have the same fact. So let's consider a world where all of the rest of the rooms are actually empty. And in this world, if you open another door, in a door other than number 1 and number 3, you will find out that actually the hotel has vacancy. So this gives us a contradiction. Therefore, in world W, it is not true that not A hotel has vacancies. But recall that we just showed you that in world W, not A hotel has vacancies is true. So basically, this gives you a counterexample for the negative introspection for modality A, the attainable knowledge. So let me summarize the negative introspections for these two modalities. For omniscience, the negative introspection holds true. And for attainable knowledge, the negative introspection does not hold. And perhaps we can look at a weaker form of the negative introspection for the attainable knowledge, which is S4.4, where phi has to be true. So in this form, even though it is weaker, it turns out that it also does not hold. Note that the counterexample I just showed you before cannot be a counterexample for S4.4 because the phi there is the hotel has vacancy, and the phi there is actually false. However, in our paper, we had a more detailed example where also specified that there may be bad bugs. In there, we constructed an example to show that S4.4 also does not hold. So the last form of negative introspection contains both modalities A and O. It turns out that this form of negative introspection holds true.
Let me talk now about more formal part of this work, and I will start with evidence model. In this work, we use models which are somewhat different from the one that you might be familiar with from work of Jochen van Bentham and Eric Packwood. Their approach was targeting beliefs, and they developed evidence-based semantics for beliefs. Here, we deal with knowledge, and we feel that the approach that we use is more suitable. We think about each evidence as an indistinguishability relation. And if you have multiple such evidence, you combine them together using the same procedure as you combine knowledge of different agents into distributed knowledge. You basically take the intersection of equivalence relations corresponding to different pieces of evidence. The syntax of our logical system contains Boolean connectors and two modalities that we have mentioned earlier, the attainable knowledge modality A and omniscience modality O. The formal semantics of omniscience, item number 5, says that in order for omniscience of phi to be true, phi should be derivable from all the evidence, right? So phi should be true in all worlds that cannot be distinguished from the current world by all the available evidence. At the same time, for attainable knowledge, we introduce into semantics one extra quantifier, with existential quantifier of a finite set of evidence. In order for you to have attainable knowledge phi, there should be a finite set of evidence such that in all worlds, indistinguishable by those evidence from the current world, phi is true. So those are definitions for modality A and O. The key part, of course, here is that set F must be finite. If set F is not finite, then item 4 will be basically equivalent to item number 5, and you will get just another alternative definition of omniscience. Let me talk a little bit about the properties that we have in this logical system. Gia mentioned earlier mixed negative introspection. That property is actually provable from the 5 principles on the screen. Truth axiom for omniscience, positive introspection for attainable knowledge, negative introspection for omniscience, 2 distributive axioms, and monotonicity. Monotonicity simply says that if you can obtain knowledge from finitely many pieces of evidence, then it also would be obtainable from potentially infinitely many pieces of evidence. Our 2 main results in this work are strong soundness and strong completeness theorems for the semantics that I described earlier. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in person 2 years from now at TARK 2023.
谢谢观看 and have a nice day.